Hey, you guys, and welcome to this podcast. I get so many comments and responses from the YouTube channel, through emailing and coaching sessions, through the support groups that I run, through my PO box. People send me letters. I get all type of interactions, and I definitely appreciate all of that. It lets me know what needs to be addressed on the channel, so it helps give me direction, you guys. So yesterday, while I was on the support group, um, I posted a daily thread there, and that allows the survivors to go under to interact with the whole support group. All right. And then I'll come in and chime in as needed. But a survivor left a message, and it definitely touched my heart as an empath. And I told her that I would make a video reply to her statements. Okay. So when I come across comments, you guys, that I feel like the whole community could benefit from hearing my response to, I definitely like to do that. And to me, it's two birds or more, of course, with one stone. Not only do I get to help that survivor, but anyone else that I feel can relate to this. And I feel like a lot of survivors can relate to the place that she's in right now. And there's a lot of people in this place. All right. So she's not thriving. All right. She's surviving, and she's hanging in there. And she's fighting for herself, or else she wouldn't even be on the support group, of course. But she is not thriving yet. And that's where the work has to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and read, what she wrote under the daily thread for interactions with the support group. All right. So she says, "Hi, Lakia. I listened to some of your videos. I have an unsettled heart and spirit when I think of why did my life have to be this way? Why have I always felt like a victim of society and then feel like an emotional victim in my own home? Then along comes the narcissist with all his good words, the words my heart always wanted to hear. I was the perfect victim for a narcissist. I used much of my life trying to be somebody because I always was made to feel like nobody in real life." Wow. This survivor is definitely in a tug of war right now, and definitely in a sunken place. All right. So first of all, I'm going to say to her, I have a motivational playlist. All right. And I believe it has at least 50 videos in it here on the YouTube channel. You can always go to that playlist to help you have a shift in your perceptions and mentalities. Okay. I made a video a few months ago that talked about the biggest hurdle that survivors will be facing. And often it is shifting their perceptions and mentalities. If we're able to shift that, then we will be looking at a different angle, which will affect our feelings subconsciously in another way. All right. So let's go ahead. What I like to do is just break down. I just read straight through it and break it down as we get to the bottom here. All right. I can generally tell you guys that this survivor is suffering from a victim's mentality. A victim mentality has developed within her from being perpetually in the role of being victimized. All right. But now we're going to peel this back like an onion. And I'm going to use my discernment because I don't have, her whole life story here in front of me, and she's not here to answer any further questions. So I'm going to fill it in as best as I can with the information that she has provided. Okay. So excuse me if I, get something off in your specific situation. Okay. I'm going to do the best that I can with what you provided. All right. So let's go ahead and start back at the beginning of her comments here. Hi, Lakia. Hey, sweetie. Okay. She says, I listened to some of your videos, and that's awesome. My channel is a great starting point for a survivor of narcissistic abuse that is seeking healing, that's trying to make this come full circle so that they can, complete the grieving process and release and move forward in their life. It's a great starting point, okay? And I definitely would recommend you listen to some more videos and be very specific about the types of videos that you are listening to, as I do put them in playlists. And you could make sure that you're targeting areas that are going to help you in your healing. And of course, that would take you being able to know what areas on top of that. All right. And that's a whole nother issue. And we're going to talk about that as we go through here. So the next thing she says, I have an unsettled heart and spirit. Okay. And yeah, if you're having this type of energy and feelings and thoughts, of course you're going to be feeling unsettled because you don't have peace right now, honey. You have an unsettled heart and a spirit because you don't feel loved and embraced externally, and I'm going to say internally as well. All right? You need to find more healing internally. Chances are you're very out of touch with yourself based off of you trying to change to be somebody and morph to what society will accept over and over. And we're going to address that as we get down here near the bottom where you talk about this. But yeah, chances are you can feel soul raped. Now, this is a bruise that people can't see to the eye, so to speak. They can when they observe your behaviors, though. When you open your mouth, if they have that level of discernment and emotional maturity, they're going to be able to pick up your bruised spirit. But this is what's going on here. All right. So you say, I have an unsettled heart and spirit. And that also speaks to not honoring yourself, not being the first one to embrace yourself. Now, I'm going to just sidebar right here. All right. Because I know that you're already in a fragile place right here. And I am a straight shooter. Okay. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear in this podcast and not what you want to hear. All right. This is what people come to me for coaching for. And I'll call this some tough love. All right. But it's definitely love. All right. So I want you to take everything that I say, not as a stab at you, not as someone that is trying to further kick you down. But I want to tell you, like I said, what you need to hear. And hopefully it's what you want to hear is what you need to hear at this point. All right. So this is so that you can become proactive. You can marinate on what I have to say because it is your life and your journey, and decide, okay, you know what? I think I can agree with that. I'm not sure if I understand that or agree with this part, because we're two separate individuals and we have two separate ways of going about things. Okay. So take what you can to help you on your journey. And this is what I say in all of my videos, but use it to make you stronger and not weaker. And this is coming from a place of love. Okay. So I just wanted to say that. All right. So she says, I have an unsettled heart and spirit when I think of why did my life have to be this way? All right. So number one, I want to tell you right here, this doesn't have to be your life. But I will say it was a season in your life. It could be a chapter in your life. And I have to say could, because it's going to be up to you to end that cycle, to end that chapter in your life. Okay? So this is not a life sentence. That's the first thing that I want to tell you here. And this is what happened, like I said, when the victim mentality has developed from being in that perpetual role. It's hard for you to see yourself outside of that role, and you become hopeless when it's perpetual, because perpetual means over and over and over again. It's like, I don't even know how to get out of this cycle anymore. And then when you stay in that energy, you keep attracting more of the same, and that's what's happening to you. So this does not have to be your life. This does not have to be your life. But yes, it has been a season of your life, all right? So that's the one perception that I want you to see right now. And that's very, very empowering. Then she goes on to say, why have I always felt like a victim of society? Well, when someone feels like a victim of society, of course, you're going to feel like there's some type of injustice. And society is external. So now, this is speaking to a person that feels like, you know what? A person or a group, a string of people, they did not treat me just and fairly. And perhaps when we feel like a victim of society, then that speaks to a person that says, I haven't had justice for being mistreated. No one externally came to my aid. No one externally stood up for me. So when we're relying on that solely, because that's what it sounds like here, you're going to feel like a victim of society. All right. Now, this is the other part that I want to point out here. You said, why have I always felt like a victim of society? And on my channel and in this podcast, I definitely want to point out feelings versus facts. And I have a whole playlist called Feelings versus Logic. Because just because you feel like something, it doesn't make it the truth, and it doesn't make it a fact. All right, so you feel like a victim of society. It doesn't mean you actually are a victim of society. You just feel that way. All right, and for you to always feel that way, it further lets me know on my emotional maturity, of course you haven't always been a victim of society. All right, you're not a victim of society. You're just someone that need to empower yourself to take the control, to stand up for yourself and not leave that for anyone else. And I know that we have social settings that put people in places that should be able to stand up for us, and they can even drop the ball. Police officers, judge, doctors, there's child protective services. How many times do they drop the ball? Because these are other imperfect people. All right. There aren't any perfect people in this world. And here we have other imperfect people in a role to help other people. And some of them shouldn't even be in that role. All right. So sometimes, that external help is not going to be there. But if the internal help is there, if the internal emotional maturity is there, that can be your rock. And it sounds like you're looking for the outside world to be your rock. Okay. But let me continue on here. So you said you always felt like a victim in society, and then feel like an emotional victim in your own home. Okay, so this lets me know, and it further verifies or validates my suspicions of the internal and external conflict that's consistent, like a tug of war. So you don't have peace outside of your home or in your home, because guess what? Your real home is your spirit and your soul. So you don't have peace there. So yeah, you don't have it in your three-dimensional home and in a three-dimensional external environment because you don't already have it inside of your vessel where your soul is housed. All right, so that energy is going to spill out into every aspect of your life at that point. So for you to say that you don't feel like it at home, I don't know. I'm going to assume maybe the narcissist came into your home, and you were expecting to create this safe haven, because this is what happens a lot of times when people are abused, especially children. It starts back then. They want to create a safe haven. That safe haven for them could be inside of their bedroom, under their comforter, where they make their little fake tent with their stuffed animals who are the loving people who don't exist in their waking life. Okay? So with you feeling so rejected and abandoned and victimized by the external society, of course, you want to come inside and close the door and feel like, finally, I'm safe, I'm home, I can be me here. But you didn't even have it there. Okay? So let's continue, because that speaks to a person that may not have proper boundaries there and have not guarded their heart appropriately, especially to be perpetually in situations. If we perpetuate a situation, there's some lessons that we're not taking that we should be taking. And that's why we're repeating these cycles. There's a lesson that we're not taking. But if we're so stuck on being hurt and feeling bad, we may not even get to the part of getting in our logic so that we can take those lessons. Okay, that's the danger of only focusing on the hurt and the pain there. All right, so let's continue. She says, then along comes the narcissist with all his good words. The words my heart always wanted to hear. So there we have it right here. Most women, when they're in their toxicity, they're not in their emotional maturity, they fall in love between their ears. Tell them what they want to hear, and you're going to get her. Like I said, when she's lesser evolved. Okay? But once a woman gets her crown on her head, she knows that talk is cheap. It sounds good, but I got to see evidence of this. I have to be convinced through your actions. All right? And I'm going to assume this narcissist is a male. Always judge a man by his actions. And just people generally in life. What they do has to take precedence over what they say. All right? Most communication is nonverbal. So we can't just be focused on hearing it. And it might have felt good, especially if she's coming from a place of being verbally abused and verbally rejected. To have someone actually tell her she's beautiful, to have someone actually tell her nice things, that feels good. But we can't be so easily won over by such a cheap tactic. Because what does it really cost to just say some nice things? Okay, we have to up our standards and requirements. We have to up our process of dissecting and determining someone's true intentions. We have to up that probational period when we are figuring a person out. So he was able to just come in and only say the right things that her heart wanted to hear. Okay, so this woman is being led by her emotions right there. And there's nothing wrong with having a relationship with your emotions. Of course you do. But your logic has to come in there as well. Because a healthy relationship is a balance of your heart and your logic. It has to make sense as well. Can't just be running off of emotions. And it sounds like this survivor has been doing that for quite some time. Okay, so it's what her heart wanted to hear. And our hearts can be deceived if our hearts are set on the wrong thing as well. I want to just intercept that. If we're not in our emotional maturity, what our hearts desire could be something that's completely toxic and bad for us to begin with. So, that's all the more reason why we got to get our minds right, get in our emotional maturity, so that when the things that our heart is seeking is in alignment with that. Okay? So let's go ahead and continue here. She said, I was the perfect victim for a narcissist. And, yes, it sounds like you were in the energy of what a narcissist would love to run into. But you don't have to stay on that level. You don't have to stay in that energy. That's the beautiful part. And I'm glad you say you was in the past tense, because it certainly, like I said, it doesn't have to continue. It doesn't have to continue. Yes, they like people who are beat down, who are hopeless, who are going to just be submissive and allow them to come in and do whatever they want. Take the scraps, make it easy. Oh, I just tell her, I don't even have to show her. Or I'll get her trust just by telling her the right things. They can go 0 to 100 with you and move fast and get things that they haven't earned. Because we have someone that is desperate to feel love, desperate to feel accepted. Okay, because it didn't start with her first. And I'm not saying it's all her fault, because it could be very well stemming from a childhood where she wasn't taught to love herself. And this is something she would have to teach herself later in life. But she would have to be able to have that self-awareness, to be able to step out of herself, to be able to see, okay, all right, perhaps, yeah, I was treated wrong from my childhood and I was conditioned to be these ways. But now enough is enough. And I want to change that about myself. I don't want to continue along this path. Okay? So let's continue. She said, I used much of my life trying to be somebody. Okay? And this is someone that's not comfortable in her skin because she's basing it off of everyone else's. Okay, well, all these people treated me bad. None of these people helped me. They all hurt me. They abandoned me. They rejected me. I must be a bad person. So I need to constantly change to try to be lovable. Maybe I'll be lovable if I get better at this, or if I look like that, or this is what this sounds like to me. But the whole thing is she has to get comfortable in her skin, and then people can take it or leave it. That's the way it really goes when we're in our strength. You know how much we would have to keep morphing and changing to please this one and please that one? Please yourself. But it sounds like she has to even get in touch with herself to even begin to know what that even looks like. Okay? So we want to get off of that hamster wheel, because you'll always be on it. Because guess what? Someone's always going to have something to say. That's why you got to love you. You got to be comfortable in your own skin, and they can take it or leave it, like I said. Okay? Let's continue here. She said, because I was always made to feel like nobody in real life. Now, this is someone giving their power away. And here we are, feeling versus facts again. Just because you felt like nobody didn't mean you wasn't nobody. Obviously, you are somebody. You're a whole individual here. You're a whole individual here. So this is a lot going on here. This is a lot. And, this could speak to codependency here, because they run off of other people. They're happy when other people are happy for them. They're sad when other people are sad. So if we have a string of people who are saying you're wrong, you're bad, codependency will take that and attach to it as their identity. So you need to become independent Okay? And, if this is something stemming from your childhood, abusers, they like to keep you dependent on them. They don't want you independent. So this is yet something else that you will have to teach yourself. I highly, highly recommend you go beyond listening to videos. You need professional help. Okay, I do offer one-on-one private coaching, and we can dive deeper and we could heal this codependency. We can get that self-esteem, shift these perceptions, intercept these behaviors, and fill those voids with positive, healthy behaviors, and get you out of this cycle and end this season. Okay? If you're interested in that, you can visit my website, lakiacrawford.com, and schedule your appointment. I do voice calls, FaceTime, and email coaching, but for you, I don't recommend email coaching. I highly do not recommend that for you. Pick voice or FaceTime. And this goes for anyone else out there who's in the energy that this survivor is in, because I want you guys thriving and not just surviving. I want you to get to thriving. But that comes with finding your healing. Okay? So I hope that this is helping you. I hope this is helping you, take a look at some of what's going on for sure. All right? But the beauty of all of this is you can empower yourself. You can change all of these things. You can't change what has already occurred, but you can start in your present moment, and your future can look completely different. It's going to take some reprogramming, and it's going to take some self-awareness, and it's going to take you intercepting yourself, and it's going to take you getting adequate help as well. Don't go at this alone. Do not go at this alone. Okay, you guys? So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. All right. And that it has helped someone. If this podcast has resonated with you, definitely feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. Subscribe. There's lots of content here to help. All right. But that is, like I said, is a starting point. All right, you guys. So I do have the 2 support groups. That information is down in the description. The support group is for survivors of narcissistic abuse. If you've had a toxic relationship, the support group will highly resonate with you as well. One is public and one is private. You can join both, either or neither. It's just a resource there for those that want to take advantage. All right. You can check out everything else that I have going on below as well. And I have a monthly Patreon that I would like to highlight. That is for those who would like to support the work that I do. You can pick a membership tier, and you would pay a monthly pledge, and you would actually get some amazing perks back for it. It's great for anyone who's been financially abused and that want further access to me. All right. Other than that, you could always go on my website and see all the services that I provide to help you in reaching your goals and helping you get unstuck and helping you have your transformations and your breakthroughs in life. I am a life coach. All right, you guys, with that being said, thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, what do I say at the end of all of my recordings? Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work. And until next time, please take care.